Over the last few weeks, you have been learning to identify metaphor and simile in others' writing. Your goal today is to begin to add metaphor and simile to your own writing. I'm going to ask for you to take out your composition notebook, open to the yellow tab, and write down the learning objective for today. I can use metaphor and simile in my writing to create a clearer or more detailed picture. Remember that metaphor and simile are when an author compares two very unlike things. With simile, the author is going to use words like or as. We're going to start today by looking at a poem that has a number of metaphors and similes in it. It's titled Green Tea by Dale Ritterbush. I'm going to read the poem once through, and then I'm going to ask for you to pause the video and to make a list in your composition notebook of everything the author compares green tea to. Green Tea by Dale Ritterbush. There's this tea I have sometimes, pan long, ying hao, so tightly curled it looks like tiny roots, gnarled a greenish gray. When it steeps, it opens the way you woke this morning, stretching your hands behind your head, back arched, toes pointing, a smile steeped in ceremony, a celebration, the reaching of your arms. So here's your job. I'm going to ask for you to pause the video. What does the author compare green tea to? You're going to make a list in your composition notebook. So let's see what you came up with. This is what I found. The author compares green tea to tiny roots, waking up, a smile, and a celebration. So let's dig a little bit further into these similes and metaphors. Why do authors use similes and metaphors? Why don't they just say what they mean? So let's look at this first simile. The author writes, pan long ying hao, so tightly curled it looks like tiny roots gnarled a greenish gray. So I actually Googled this type of tea. It's a specific type of tea. And crazy thing, it actually looks like tiny roots that are gnarled and greenish gray, right? The author makes this comparison because it helps us to really imagine this really unique type of tea. Now let's look at a metaphor. When it steeps, it opens the way you woke this morning, stretching your hands behind your head, back arched, toes pointing. So when I first read that image, I didn't picture tea opening, but then when I looked at tea steeping and the way that this tea here, and let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger, kind of like stretches open, it really does look like, or reminds me of, the way that we in the morning kind of curled up in bed, then like wake up and stretch and really like extend all of our hands to our toes. The tea does that. So why do authors use metaphor and simile? I'm going to ask for you to write this down in your composition notebook. Authors use metaphor and simile to create a clearer or more detailed picture. It helps us to imagine, helps us as a reader to imagine what the author is describing, to compare it to something maybe that we can picture or imagine easier. It creates a clearer or more detailed picture. So here's your task today. You're going to write a poem or a flash draft. It could be either. And you're going to write it about an activity, an object, or an event. So you're going to start by choosing that object, activity, or event. So I'm going to choose, I am so sick of this Seattle winter, so I'm choosing this really long Seattle winter. It just feels like it's never going to end. So that's the event that I'm choosing. So I'm going to start today by creating a list of everything that I could compare this never-ending Seattle winter to. So I started by just thinking about like what it feels like. So I said it's never-ending, it makes you feel yucky, it's cold, it's gray, it's damp even. So I made a list of everything I might compare that to, things that are unlike it, but also are never-ending, make me feel yucky, cold, gray. So I came up with that friend that tells stories that go on and on and on and on. Or a couple weeks ago, I ordered an Amazon package and I didn't realize it wasn't Prime, and it just like felt like it took forever to get here. 6 periods. 6 periods sometimes feels like it goes on and on and on and on, like it's never going to end. If the clock, I was thinking if the clock got stuck at 3:10, p.m. That's what this winter feels like. It feels like it's just like stuck, like it's never going to get to spring. An old photograph, I thought it might be looking, it's so gray, it looks like we're just looking at an old photograph outside. The early stages of the flu make me feel so yucky. When you're forced to eat something you don't enjoy, when you know you're just thinking something really, really sad, but you can't remember what it is. I hope I'm not the only person that has that happen to you. Sometimes I just like sit there and I'm like really sad and I can't remember what it is that made me sad. That's what this winter feels like. That moment that you have to get out of bed, right? Like not the moment your alarm clock goes off, but like the moment where you're finally like, I have to get out of bed. Like that is how yucky this winter makes me feel. So now that I have my list, right, of all of the different things that I might compare this winter to, I'm going to write my poem or flash draft. And you're writing these to include 5 to 6 metaphors and similes. So let's look at my poem. So here's my poem, Never Ending Winter by Miss Renicky. This winter will not shut up. It is that friend whose story goes on and on and on and on, or being forced to read an incredibly boring nonfiction text. The last 15 minutes of 6th period. Definitely the last 15 minutes of 6th period. This damn winter bums me out like the early stages of the flu, or when you find yourself thinking something really, really sad, remembering you have homework. I was over at this acquaintance's house last week, and she served steamed broccoli. I couldn't tell her that I hate steamed broccoli, even more than I hate brushing my teeth or cleaning the toilet. I had to suck it up and eat the broccoli. This winter is a never-ending bowl of steamed broccoli. So there's my poem. It's your turn. You're going to choose an object, an activity, or an event. Begin by creating a list of everything you might compare it to. You might even start, like I did, by generating some descriptions of the adjectives or the way that it makes you feel. And then write your poem or flash draft. I'm going to be looking for these in your composition notebook. Get started.